Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, can you hear me? Can you see me? Everything's good. Green screen is good. You guys can see. You guys can see the stuff that's going on around here. Let me move this light just a tiny bit so I can actually read chat when they're sending stuff. We can't see you. You can't see me now? You should be able to see me now. So I see myself on screen. So you should be able to see me now. Me in all of my glory. Yes, there you go. I see and hear you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's go. All right, how's everybody doing? How's everybody's afternoon? We just wanted to give everybody a heads up. We started at 7:30 today. Although I'm a couple minutes behind schedule, but other than that, we did start around 7:30. It's not that I'm late per se. Going forward, we're gonna start doing these type of news recaps roughly around 7:30 because yeah, I changes in schedule and stuff like that, and also depending on if I land the job that I'm currently applying for, uh, we might have to shift things around a little bit. But regardless, um, as far as things go, for now, it will still keep it on Thursdays, but the news recap will be happening around 7:30 ish. I think that's best time. So just for now, just 30 minutes later than what we normally do, which is around 7. So everything's perfectly fine. I mean, it's not that big of a difference. We'll try to change it just a tad bit at a time. Nothing major. Um, but regardless, uh, hello, we're here. We're quote unquote on time. I started stream on time. It's just I wasn't here physically on time, but I'm here. I'm here now, which is what matters. Which is what matters. Okay, so give you guys skip. So just a little, just a little thing I've been noticing. It's not part of the news recap. I just wanted to just kind of bring it up, which is there's a lot of really nice games right now that are coming out. And not only that, there are a lot of very interesting indie games that have been slowly coming out. And I hope that you guys saw last stream. I really enjoyed last stream. And if you haven't, go ahead and check the VOD out. I think it was a really nice stream where we were investing in babies, and I was basically Shat's broker. So if you find that interesting, go ahead and check it out in the VOD. I'm not sure if I'm gonna flip it over and then maybe post it on YouTube or maybe make shorts about it. I'm not entirely sure yet. But I really liked last Tuesday stream. So 2 days ago, I really liked that stream. So that being said, yeah, I really want to do more streams like that. So I'm keeping my eyes out for any of those type of maybe themed streams and games that maybe I can like incorporate a little bit more chaotic essence into the play style of those games that I think would be entertaining for you and fun for me. So I'm keeping an eye out on a couple of different games that look interesting. And some of the games might not be as eccentric, I would say, as maybe the last stream, but I do plan on having some just overall really enjoyable like especially like new games that are coming out. Sorry about that. New games that are coming out. One of them being the what you call it, Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is coming out, the second game in the season in the series, and I've played a lot of Slay the Spire one, and I have it on my phone, and I've played it. I had it on the computer on my not PC. I had it on my Xbox, and in the Xbox, it was a lot of fun. I played it a lot, and then when eventually I saw that it was on my phone, I downloaded it. Had to start all over because it was on a different console. In this case, my phone, and then I played it all over, passed it all over again. And so it's a really fun game, and I'm really excited for that new that sequel that's coming out on March. So overall, just a lot of really nice games that are coming out that I'm interested in playing and stuff like that. So do look forward to seeing more game streams coming from me in the next coming upcoming months or so. Like I definitely do plan on playing more games like that and enjoying with everybody. But I just wanted to bring like that up, kind of bring everybody to speed on the ideas that I have regarding future streams and all that kind of stuff. I was working on a video and we'll be posting that hopefully Monday of next week. If everything works out, it should be out by Monday. But regardless, you guys right now are tuning in to the weekly recap. So, for everybody that is here, hello everybody, and welcome to the gaming marketplace where you don't invest for your money, but with your time. And today we're going to be recapping everything that's happened in the gaming industry in the last week, right? Well, not everything. There's a couple of things that I found interesting that I wanted to highlight, recapping a little bit of what was the sentiment in the gaming industry last week. And as you can see, a little bit of a hint here. Yeah, not things don't look that great for Highguard. And things don't look that great for a couple of our of the stories we're going to be talking about today, because there's a lot of things that are kind of sketchy. There is some good news mixed in between, but some things are a little bit sketchy. Some things are better. Regardless, let's go ahead and start with the first news. Let me make sure that everything is good here. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So the first news for today is Microsoft recently just wiped a game from the Steam page due to them having a screenshot in their page that looked a little bit too much like Minecraft. What basically ended up happening is that they ended up, like they said, they ended up giving a DMCA claim to the creators of Alumeria. The creators of Alumeria got a DMCA claim from Microsoft due to this screenshot that you're seeing on screen right now, because it looks too much like Minecraft, and they thought they were stealing some assets. Now, the other annoying part of this is that, according to them, the DMCA strike was given by an AI tool that Microsoft and, in retrospect, Minecraft has been using for these things. So not only are we seeing that an indie company that, by the way, although this does look a lot like Minecraft, it's completely hand done. They explained how they've made every single art style, everything themselves, even if it has that Minecraft aesthetic. And this is not the first time we see this, right? There's a bunch of Minecraft clones out there that have been pretty much Minecraft clones that haven't had any issues when they've come out. In fact, the biggest kid on the block right now, other than Minecraft, is Hytale. And Hytale, the developers of Hytale, were originally a shaders mod creator of Minecraft. So, and they just took the shaders mod that they created for Minecraft and then used that on their new Hytale game. And it's, once again, just like another Minecraft clone inspired game. And it's been doing really well. So why was this any different? Well, the answer is, like I mentioned previously, it was because of AI. Because there wasn't an actual person that looked at this and said, maybe if we take a look at the other stuff, we can realize that, this doesn't look like Minecraft. It's Minecraft inspired, maybe, but like, wow, this kind of looks a little bit different, don't you think? And if we took a little bit of the pictures down here, they also kind of, you can't see that well, but they look kind of different as well, don't you think? Sure, it's inspired. There is a lot of similarities, which is what you would expect. But overall, it is its own game, and it has its own identity. So let me just get rid of that little message right there. Just another bot. We love to see those. We love to see those. Where is my? There it is. Flop. Jesus Christ! Can you let me ban? Just let me ban the guy. Yeah, just ban the guy. There you go, and delete the message. Oh my god! Why is it not letting me delete the message? Did it delete it for you guys? Well, it deleted it for Twitch. It didn't delete it um for the tool the software that I'm using. But whatever, it's gone. Regardless, what I was saying is that yeah, they have their own IP. They're just inspired by Minecraft. And if we take a look at the article, oh, wrong thing. If we take a look at the article, we can see that they mention what the AI tool they used. It was issued by the Tracer.ai, right? That tool, which is an AI platform that Microsoft and Mojang have been using as of late. And this is apparently not the first time that they've ended up flagging on somebody else's somebody else's game incorrectly, right? So it's nothing new, but once it got a lot of traction, once a lot of people started complaining online, and once the developers, respectfully also ended up rightfully so complaining online about what was happening, they did take action themselves and they took the page down. But the thing is that they explained how apparently the chief creative officer Jens, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name. Well, I will, but Jens Bergensten. Jens Bergensten. I'm going to assume that that's the way. I'm sorry I butchered your name. Mostly known as Jeb. So we're just going to call the guy Jeb. Jeb was the one that responded to the takedown on Blue Sky, the Twitter Blue Sky, all that uproar. He was the one that responded and then went to investigate the matter because he wasn't even aware of this DMCA strike that was happening. So once again, this is another prime example of what happens when you just kind of give AI unfeathered access without having any type of human to at least, I don't know, at least administrate or manage or just kind of take a final say on a matter before AI just takes action immediately. But luckily, although they did have to take it down, the next day they were able to bring it back up. So the Lumeria is back up and running, and you can go to Steam and check out this game. It's currently in early access. You can not early access, it's demo. But you can go and check the demo yourself. And if you like Minecraft, this might be your cup of tea. This might be something that you like, might be something interesting. It currently has no reviews, so you could be the first reviewer. So go ahead, check it out, see if you like the game, and hey, maybe it has the potential of becoming another Hytale situation, another story just and successful as Hytale. Who knows? But overall, that's kind of what we saw with this game here, Lumeria, and their random DMCA claim. While theirs got resolved pretty quickly, that's not the case for the next story. So the thing is that these indie devs got DMCA claimed by the creators of Warhammer because of their trailer. So they basically went and looked at this trailer and specifically pointed out that these characters looked too much like 40k Warhammer characters because of these shoulder pad metal plating armor looking thing that they included in their character design in the trailer. Keep in mind that in the actual gameplay of the game shown in the exact same trailer, this is not even shown. You don't see these characters in the actual gameplay. You just see a ship, an outline, a blueprint of a ship, and that's the actual gameplay. You're just managing the ship. It's just that they were inspired by, probably inspired by 40K Warhammer, and they made the character, inspired by it. It's like this futuristic, techie look, but also like a warlord kind of look in things. So they saw this and they DNCA claimed, and it's not something that was resolved so quickly. It happened last year, around September of last year, and they were fighting it for a good amount of time. So much so that they just had to take it down, and they were reworking the trailer so that it wouldn't cause any issues. So this was taken down, and the creators of this game is Tundra Interactive, and the name of the game is the RPG Void War. Now, if you look at the gameplay, if you know about the Faster Than Light franchise, it seems like the gameplay is very much inspired by FTL, but with a Warhammer 40K inspired look type of feel in things, right? But this is the matter where it's like, where do we start DMCA striking, or where do we start, talking about what is their inspiration, right? Because in the end of the day, the artwork was created by their artists, right? It was not taken from Warhammer. So it doesn't matter if it looks similar. DMCA doesn't apply here because it is not a direct copy and take of another person's, IP. It's just inspired by, which is why we see this creation looking like it. But unfortunately, which is the case for a lot of different indie developers, they can't really fight against these. They can't really fight against these major corporations. So the best move for them is, as they stated here, is to avoid getting bogged down and just completely remove the trailer and move on, because they don't have the resources to go into a legal battle to prove that their DMCA strike was not correct, was not right. And once again, in this case, it wasn't used by AI, which is, I guess, a little bit better, but at the same time, it's kind of feels ill-hearted to DMCA strike somebody for, first things first, the trailer of the game, and second, for just a design that was created by the original artist, inspired by maybe, but created by the original artist, and doesn't even have an actual weight in the game, because the gameplay itself is nothing like for a Warhammer 40K. So this is just not a good look overall for the 40K Warhammer company. So yeah, this is what they've been dealing with recently, and unfortunately, they were able to bring it back up. They're just like the others. They were able to bring it back up, but I believe that they had to make the changes to the trailer in order for it to not trigger that at DMCA. So the DMCA still technically stood. It's just that they addressed it to avoid any type of legal problems, or without having to claim it beforehand. So it generally sucks. It sucks that this is something that can happen to any indie dev out there. How you doing, Hollow? Thank you for joining in. Yes, we're in the newscaster role. But it sucks that overall, this is the type of actions that could prevent some very talented indie developers out there from potentially being inspired by major IPs, because they could end up getting DMCA strike unfairly, and they don't have the resources to really fight against it. So this is just two cases of DMCA strike. The first one is intentional by the Warhammer creators. The first one, or the second one, is that the first one was the one that we saw done by AI, which, by the way, that AI tool has also been used and has DMCA strike YouTube videos about Minecraft. So once again, now I don't believe that this is a tool that should just be reigning free and DMCA striking whatever it finds. It's absurd, but whatever. I'm not the one running these companies, and we've already talked about my thoughts on how people implement AI. I have no problem with AI as a tool. Just don't fully trust it blindly. Know how to actually implement it. So yeah, that's that part of the news. Now, next up is this is the next news. So next up is and I'm just gonna read the headline for you. The makers of a banned indie game, Horses, claims Epic is misleading and players. So basically, this indie game, Horses, it's literally called just Horses, has been banned on both Epic and on Steam due to it being classified as an adults only game. Although there have been many players and people claiming that when you play the actual game, there is no actual adult only content. Right? And there's way worse games in the market that don't have this treatment, and yet this one does. And this ended up being a back and forth between the developer and Epic Games, basically complaining about how Epic Games allowed the game for a bit, and then when they took it down, claiming that it didn't pass their content policies and their guidelines and all that kind of stuff, the developers did ask for clarification, and they didn't get great responses. And then it ended up being a back and forth of Epic saying, we worked with them, we tried everything we could. And then the developer saying, no, you fucking didn't. You fucking left me blind, and I still am dealing with the same issue. I don't know how to fix the problem. So that's exactly what's happening between them. If you take a look at you can see here with their Blue Sky post, you can see that they are calling out Epic Games for not actually being transparent and not telling them exactly how to be able to adapt their game in order to actually be used, right? So the line of events that happened was that initially they got that strike. 25 minutes after they got striked, the developers, the indie devs did how do you call it? They did not claim. They refuted it, right? They refuted the claim, and once they did refute the claim, they got back saying, no, our team did a second analysis on it, and it still doesn't pass the quality guidelines because, and I quote, it doesn't pass their it does it what was it? It doesn't pass because it what's the word? I'm blanking right now on the word, because it breaks the rule. Let's just say it like that, because it breaks the rule on their abuse and animal abuse policy, and once again the adult only classification. Now, the game itself never got an adult only classification or certification of as a adult only content, which only made it more confusing for the developers to figure out what was going on. And although they, once again, they did email them back stating, hey, we don't believe that it actually causes this issue. There is no abuse being shown on screen. There is no animal abuse being shown on screen. And any and all nudity, because there is some nudity in the game, is all censored by pixelated, graphics and all that kind of stuff. So it's never actually showing anything, and there's no abuse, there's no violence in the game and that kind of stuff. So they were genuinely confused, and they were trying to work with Epic to try to get their game back into the store. Regardless, when Epic came back, they just gave them a kind of a blanket statement without stating what was wrong, just stating, no, I'm sorry, it still doesn't pass. It doesn't pass our policy. I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry. And the developers have been, a rock in a hard place. Now, the problem here is that when Epic got interviewed for this issue about this game, when they got interviewed, they were saying, no, we did everything we could. We were transparent with them. We tried everything. We told them, we highlighted to them everything they needed to know. And it just, it just doesn't pass policy. And meanwhile, in the same, when the developers saw this tweet and like this article, the developers went online and started calling them out, saying, no, you didn't. This is you stating that it didn't pass these specific policies is not enough information on what exactly you consider not passing that policy. If you knew that something didn't pass the policy, right, and you if you had somebody, an actual person, go and review it, there should be a specific article or a specific item in the game that caused you to say, no, 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 it doesn't pass policy. But they're not relaying that information. So it just ended up this back and forth. And to this day, Horses is still not available on any of the platforms. You can't, well, it's not on main platforms. It's not available on the Epic Game Store, and it's not available on Steam. It is, however, available on itch.io. So if you want to go ahead and promote them and like support them there, you can go to itch.io, search for the game, the indie game there, and then support them, donate money, if you enjoy the game and all that kind of stuff. So they have some others, but the main marketplaces for video games don't allow it. Now, why are they being so stringent with these things? Especially when we've seen that stuff like Steam has sold hentai games out there, have sold adult games in their platform. Well, the reason is because Steam and Epic have kind of been put in a rough spot where they have to now adhere to credit card companies. So apparently credit card companies started accusing Steam of breaking their policies as they were allowing transactions with their credit cards on adult-only content, which apparently is a thing that credit cards don't want you to do, even though technically speaking you are an adult if you have a credit card, and if you have a credit card it's your money and you can technically use it for whatever it is you want. Credit card companies don't like it. They just don't. And so they started claiming against filing lawsuits and stuff against Steam and Epic Store, and so they just caved. So now we're seeing a little bit of a more a hard scope at all these games that are quote unquote adult only, which is why a lot of these games are starting to have a censored version that you can play, and then you can either pay to get the uncensored version, or you can disable the censored version for you to get this uncensored version. But that way the game is not adult only. It's just, a game that you can make sexual or whatever it is that you want to do with it. So yeah, it's a hard place. There's a lot of things, finicky things that are happening right now. I can't really blame Steam or Epic on the whole them being more stricter with games, but I can blame them on them not being as transparent, them being kind of vague and not allowing the explanation that their indie devs allow, or the indie devs need to be able to actually, put their games in their platform. So once again, kind of iffy news, not great news. But we do have one great news coming up, and that is, this is the scandal. This is them talking about horses. This is the interview that they did with the game dev, and him talking about the on and off that kept on happening with them, and also claiming that Epic and Valve, which is Steam, have banned it, and it would imply that the game is like super explicit. But there's been many critics saying that they don't agree with Epic's and Steam's claims, and they say that the game is perfectly fine. So yeah, that's the article right there, and you can read it. But yeah, they also mentioned here the whole extra pressure from payment processors in the behest of pro censorship activists or crackdowns on NSFW content. Regardless, the next news is, so I really hope that you like Jason Momoa, because if you play video games and you like Jason Momoa, you're going to be seeing way more of him, as Jason Momoa continues to be on being casted on video game movies, with the new announcement that he will be casted for the new Helldivers movie that is currently being worked on. So I hope you really like his performance in Minecraft, because you're going to see him in more movies. Not only that, but if he has, it seems like Jason Momoa wants to be partake in all video game movies that are coming out right now. And another example of this is Jason Momoa's acting in or casting in the new Street Fighter movie that's gonna come out. So clearly, Jason Momoa likes being in video game related adaptations, and there's nothing wrong with that. But all I'm saying is, if you like Jason Momoa, you'll be celebrating about this news. But if you don't, then I feel bad for you, buddy, because he's gonna be on, well, on the next upcoming, the newest video game adaptations, and potentially even more after that. So they, with the new announcement, we went and looked at what exactly was the reason that they keep casting Jason Momoa to these roles. Well, in this particular case for Helldivers, they explained that apparently what's one of the good aspects about this is the fact that Jason Momoa is not a gamer. They or at least he doesn't play as much, and thus, uh, he can lean in. He can lean in to his acting as a person and humanize the character outside of what it is that the game portrays. Which, valid point, right? You're not making a video game, you're making a movie, and there's certain things that needs to be adapted in different ways in order for the change of medium and that transition to happen smoothly. So Jason Momoa being in these movies and being able to really take out the humanity of these characters in these fictitious video game worlds is a plus for a lot of these directors. They feel like it's more grounded in reality for them, and they can have a better view of how to adapt it into that cinematic format. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. And overall, I have nothing bad against Jason Momoa. I didn't really enjoy the Minecraft movie, but that's just me. I kind of, circumstances weren't great either. I was kind of watching it in a plane, and the Minecraft movie, me watching it in the plane, I just kind of ended up falling asleep in. But it wasn't anything against Jason Momoa specifically. It was just me not really vibing with it. But regardless, he's coming out in Street Fighter, so we'll be able to see his acting there. I've seen him act as in a couple of other movies, and I don't dislike his acting. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how his adaptation of Helldivers, which is a satirical game, satirical story about extreme capitalism in a world of like a war ambience. I forgot what movie is similar to this. There's a movie out there that is that Helldivers was inspired by. Space Cadet. It wasn't Space Odyssey. Was it Space Odyssey? No, I don't think it was Space Odyssey. Space Troopers. I don't remember the name of the movie, but there's a movie that's exactly like that, and then Helldivers was inspired by it, and now we have Helldivers kind of being the new kid in the block, and people recognize it for it. So it's a satirical story, and I think that if the other movie did really well, I feel like this one would also do very well with the same premise, basically. So that's good news for those who love Jason Momoa, and just overall good news that we're seeing more and more games being adapted to films and actually being successful when being adapted this way. This is not a bad thing for the industry, I believe. I think it's a good thing for the industry that we're seeing these type of things going on. Now, the next news. Momoa in video game movies was not in my 2026 bingo card. Yep. Well, it is on some people's bingo card, and especially with the Minecraft movie. Once again, Minecraft movie was a big hit, especially for kids. And if they already anticipate, like they already kind of correlate Jason Momoa and like his face and everything to a video game, then they would be more than happy or feel a lot more at home seeing his face being adapted in another video game movie. So it's kind of like a snowball effect of things that are going on. Regardless, the next major news is that the Metro and Darksiders owner Embracer says it will soon release a long-awaited major game, and they have not released any big game recently. And they recently came out stating, "Hey, we're almost finishing, but we're working on a major game, and we're almost finishing it, and we're planning to release it sometime next year in 2027." So we're waiting for more news to come out, but one of the theories right now is that that major game is gonna be from the Metro franchise. Why? Well, because they've already in the past kind of insinuated that they've been working on a Metro game for a while now. So it makes sense if you think in the timeline that that would be the case. That being said, the company is also originally from Ukraine. And there is a lot of speculation that the new game that we're going to be seeing is going to be heavily inspired by the ongoing Ukraine and Russian war. And it kind of fits with the whole aesthetic of the series, as the entire series has always been very anti-war, but dealing with repercussions of war and all these kinds of things. So it'd be very interesting to see how, with their recent experiences in the war that's been going on with Ukraine, that they show some of that, I guess, express some of that into the Metro franchise. So very, very interesting, thing if it ends up being Metro. So next awards that come out, or like maybe like next video game announcements, video game announcements that start coming out and start like that, I'm going to be expecting to start hearing some Metro news from them. Regardless, it's still great. I love the Metro franchise. I haven't played all their games, but I did play the first one in Ranger mode, which I highly suggest everybody plays Metro in Ranger mode as their first playthrough instead of the normal mode. Because Ranger mode, the only difference is that it takes your HUD, like the entire HUD of your game is taken out. So the only way you can you experience the game only by what your character sees. And the only way you can track all your resources, you have a little notepad that you have to look at, and it tells you how many bullets you have left, which is also your currency, how many bullets you have left, how much oxygen or how much radiation there is, and how many canisters and all inventory stuff. It's all being tracked on your little I literally just said it a couple seconds ago, and I cannot remember the name of what I was talking about. But yeah, like that little billboard thing in your hand, in your thing, file holder thing that you're gonna be carrying around. So overall, I played that game, and I played it in that sense, being completely blind to what the Metro series and franchise was, and it was a really enjoyable experience. So if you've never played the Metro franchise, I believe it's in the Game Pass. Some of them are in the Game Pass. I highly suggest you play them, and if you're gonna play them in ranged mode, not the normal mode. That's my highest recommendation for the most immersive experience that you can have. I can't wait to see what Metro does with their new installment in the series. I completely agree. It's very exciting. I can't wait. So this is great news. Overall, they've made great games in the past, and regardless if it doesn't end up being Metro, it's still going to be an amazing game overall. Now let's talk about the not so great news that has been coming out with what recently happened. I teased it in the beginning with the thumbnail, but it's the death of Highguard. So Highguard developers, Wildlife lays off most of staff. Most of the Highguard stuff has been laid off, mostly because of the really bad reception that it got initially, but later on it got mixed reviews overall, and also it's just decreasing player base and overall decreasing engagement online. As you can see, it's Twitch views also ended up plummeting as time went on. So overall, the game wasn't seeing that much traction, wasn't getting as much uh, love, and in fact, they got a lot of hate online, and this made it basically steamroll into failing overall, and they're probably gonna stop servers soon enough. It looks like another Concord type situation, and so they already laid off most of their team, so the game is just gonna be it's gonna the servers are gonna come out soon enough. Now, one thing I did want to discuss is why did this happen, right? Why did Highguard start failing so much that it's now just gone? It's going to be gone soon enough. Well, I don't think it's the exact same reason as what we saw with Highguard. Sorry, with Concord. Concord was kind of very ambitious, but it kind of tried to convince you, the player, that there were this amazing IP that you should be putting your time on. And it was also a um, hero shooter live service game that nobody really cared about. Even with the marketing, they tried doing a lot of marketing to try to get people to like it, and it wasn't interesting. The game was buggy as hell apparently when it came out. It was not fun. The game mechanics were not fun and stuff like that. So overall, all of it was there for, it seemed like it was just trying to be a cash grab, and that's it. And thus people didn't really like it and immediately started just killing it until eventually Concord, not even a couple weeks later, literally just completely shut down. I don't think it even lasted a week at this point. I think it was like almost immediately on launch, it just shut down. Now, things were a little bit different with Highguard. Highguard decided to go on a almost surprise launch, as nobody knew about Highguard, but everybody found out about it in last year's Game Awards, as it was the last game announced in the entire award. And people weren't really happy with that because people were expecting other games for as the final game. Usually, the final game revealed in the Game Awards is like this really big IP and stuff like that. So them seeing a random IP they don't even know, they were pretty disappointed. Now, the other aspect of it is that the backlash that it got wasn't just because of it being not the game that I expected. It's also because the creators of this game is the developers of Titanfall. And people were really mad that Highguard was not Titanfall 3. And they keep wanting the studio to make Titanfall 3. And the fact that they haven't made it yet is getting people really mad. So they immediately started hate bombing and just review bombing the game as it came out without really giving it much of a chance. Now, as time went on, you can see that hates kind of started like bad reviews sharply declined, but as people started actively giving it a chance, we started seeing a little bit more positive reviews, to the point where, as you can see, the final reviews were mostly positive, and we ended up with a mixed score instead of a mostly negative score, right? But this is a lot. This death was caused primarily because of a lot of the hate that a lot of people started bringing to the game just because it wasn't Titanfall 3. And it was kind of unwarranted. That being said, it wasn't the only thing. Because we've seen in the past games that are hate bombed or review bombed and just people hate, but they don't just die off like this, right? So, what exactly was the reason why they started diminishing in player count as much as they did? Well, the reason was that although the game was actually, I think, a pretty good, like, finished game, it didn't seem to have that many bugs. People weren't complaining about bugs. The gunplay was actually kind of fun. And there were all these aspects that were actually going for them. And if they had been given a chance, they would have actually been able to improve even more and make it potentially better. The problem here, I think, with the gameplay was that it was a 3v3 format. So it was always games between a party of 3 against a party of 3. but the maps were really big. And I believe that the concept of the game as a whole would have actually done better had they done, even if it were just a 6v6, just adding those extra 6 players would have made it feel less empty. The maps were too big and you weren't fighting as often as you would think. The game did try to like put objectives that everybody wanted to go and contest to force some gunfights, but I believe like it wasn't enough. I feel like if there were more players in every given match, it would have felt more competitive. It would have felt more engaging, and thus maybe people would have enjoyed it a little bit more. Because there wasn't anything necessarily bad about the game. It's just that from the feedback that I got from a lot of people who played it, the game was just okay. There wasn't anything amazing about it, but there wasn't also anything really that bad about it either. So it's like this it's this game that had all this attention, all this flack, right? All this hype going to, not even hype, because there was zero hype going into it because people really hated the fact that it wasn't Titanfall. And people went into this game intending on it being bad. And I think that that's another part of the issue. People wanted this game to be bad so badly that they made it bad. They didn't want to have fun with the game. They didn't want to give it a chance. And so those that did give it a chance also didn't, end up getting that much enjoyment out of it. From a lot of the news that I saw was this is a 1 month game or like a 1 week type of game where they pick it up when it came out and then that was it. They were not going to invest all their time in it. And it didn't help that it was also immediately out of the box, it was a live service game. So it came out free, but when it came out free, all of the things that you were seeing was microtransactions, trying to get you to spend money on skins, on your looks, on different characters and all that kind of stuff. So that's the other aspect of this, right? The first one was the initial hate that people were already coming into it to hate the game. The second was that although the game wasn't bad, it wasn't great either. It had a lot of room for improvement, but people were already not really happy with it, so they weren't gonna give it a chance. And the third aspect that I believe killed the game is the fact that it was a live service game, because there's been a very clear shift in the industry where players have been showing that they don't really like live service games right now. They've been given it a really bad light for live service games that have been coming out recently because people are tired of finding the next live service game that they'll have to spend all of their time playing and all of their money in. So there's only so many games that you can do that. Before, when games were just a product, you play them and you play them for that amount of time that you're going to play it, and then that's it, right? If it's a story, you're done. Or if it's like something like Call of Duty, where it was a new game every year, you play multiplayer, but you can stop at any point, right? When it was games like that, then it was easy for multiple games of the exact same genre to jump into the space, right? That's why we saw a bunch of arcade shooter games coming out, and everybody had kind of their little spot to shine because it was, for example, this month was Call of Duty, but then 2 or 3 months after that, it's no longer Call of Duty that's attention. It's that new game, that new shooter that came out, right? And people gave it a shot. But with a live service format, since these companies are trying to keep your engagement, keep you coming back, you have to always come back because look at us. If you're not playing us at all times, you're missing out. You're going to end up losing so much stuff. It's FOMO. Come on, you have to be playing at all times. And if you don't, you're going to lose out. You're going to be behind. People are going to look better. People are going to have better equipment and everything. You don't want that. You want to be the top of the top. You have to be on our game the entire time. And so because of this want and yearn for players to always be playing your game, then in order for a game to get your entire attention, you can't have that many games that are the exact same genre. Because since Call of Duty never dies, if there's another arcade shooter that comes out that's a live service game, you have to now convince players that this live service game is not where they should be spending their money on or time on. It's this new one that you don't know about. Meanwhile, the players are going to look at it and be like, why would I go and start playing this game that I know nothing about and I have to start from zero when I can play Call of Duty and continue playing Call of Duty, which I already know, and I know that as they keep adding more content, I'm gonna look better. I'll be able to fashion myself. I've already spent so much money on this game that I want to make my money's worth out of it, right? So there's a lot of reasons why consumers don't want to make that shift to another game in the exact same, I guess, genre, right? So the other thing is that we've been seeing a lot of hero shooter games, live service hero shooter games coming out ever since the success of Overwatch. As much as Overwatch has lost a lot of its luster, its success is what pioneered the hero shooter genre on all formats. And that plus then the release of Rainbow Six Siege also ended up fomenting this idea that all games have to be this hero shooter format. So we had Overwatch, we had Rainbow Six Siege, and then suddenly we ended up getting Marvel Rivals. We ended up getting Valorant. We ended up getting more hero shooter live service games for people to invest their time on. And there's only so much you can take. Why would I go to Highguard, which is another hero shooter, when I've been playing either Marvel Rivals or Valorant, which are both hero shooters? There's no reason for me to invest, leave all the time invested that I had on these games to try to play another one, right? So it's not, that formula was only good for the people who got in early. But now that a lot of these companies have been established, it's really hard for you to do a live service game on those genres. It's the exact same thing with the Battle Royale format. Fortnite ended up capitalizing on the Battle Royale formula, and then all the companies started jumping in. You have Call of Duty, you have Battlefield that recently got their red sector, which is another Battle Royale from them. You also have PUBG, you have Apex. All these Battle Royale formats started coming in. And so at some point, people said, hey, I don't care about the newest and greatest Battle Royale format because the one that I have right here that I've already invested a lot of money on keeps keeping me engaged. So why would I switch over, right? The game hasn't died. It's still there. So now you're competing with, once again, already established games and already established IPs. All these factors are making newer games die on arrival. The live service format does not work anymore if you're just going to whatever is popular on the live service format. I think an example of this, of a successful live service game that although has been out for a while now, still keeps increasing in value is Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight, although it came out a while ago, it keeps getting more and more players to play it. Because although it is a live service game, it is the only asymmetric horror game live service that currently exists. So if you want to get that experience, it's only Dead by Daylight that can give it to you. In other words, if you want live service games to work for your company, you have to start being original and taking a risk on a new gameplay format. And make sure that gameplay is actually good and fun and that people will want to come back to play it. But this is, once again, a shift in the industry. People are finding out what's going on. People are finding out that live service games are not so easy, and they're not. They might be a cash cow, but they're not so easy to come around. It's not just you posted the game and you're done, right? So a lot of companies are figuring that out the hard way. But yeah, in this case, Highguard was exactly that. A company figuring out in the hard way that live service is not that easy. So that's what we have here. Now, that concludes the news segment of the news recap, right? But every single time after news segment, I like to highlight a specific game, the gaming highlighting portion. And this time, this is a sponsored portion of the segment. For this today, the sponsor of today's game highlight is me. Go to thegamingmarketplace.com for you to check the score of your favorite game and figure out how well your game has been performing in today's market. Is your live service game actually bringing in as many people as it could, or is it just dying out? Find out using gems. There you go. Yeah, sponsored by me. Yeah, we don't got money, people don't pay me, but you could be the next. You could be the next sponsor of this segment, or it could be your game that we review next on this segment. So many possibilities. Let me know. Reach out, and then we can talk about it. But regardless, as long as I am the sponsor of this segment, the game highlights we cover are those that I find either interesting or just games that I like. And in this case, today on this game highlight segment, we're going to be talking about Deadlock. So, Deadlock has been getting a lot more traction recently, and I myself finally got access to it, and I have been enjoying playing this game a lot. And it's very interesting that it's getting so much traction when the game hasn't even officially been released. The game is still technically in early access, and you need somebody to invite you in order to play the game. You can't even access the game if you're not strictly invited. So this game that hasn't even officially come out is getting so much attention and so much traction because it's Valve doing what they do best and innovating on their genre. In this case, although it's a hero shooter, it's a hero shooter MOBA. And it works just like any MOBA. So if you like League of Legends, if you like Dota, if you like all these type of like MOBA games, this is exactly like that, but in a shooter format. So it's super interesting. It's a third-person shooter. It's a lot of fun. I played it. There's a bunch of different characters that you can play as, and they keep adding more characters. And in fact, it's these new characters that they've been adding that have been raising its popularity even more, just because a lot of the designs for a lot of these characters are just really fun and really cool, and you just kind of want to play all of them. So overall, Deadlock has been growing a lot, and we can see that in the market. Now, fair warning, you are seeing that's not Deadlock's logo, and this is why the website is kind of confusing the name because there is 3 other games that are called exactly Deadlock. So the website is confusing the name Deadlock and then accessing information for this indie game that is also called Deadlock, and that's what you're seeing as the logo, as the information for this game. But this is taking a look at Deadlock as a whole, which, by the way, is currently standing at a 32nd place in the entire gaming marketplace. Once again, a game that hasn't even officially come out is already 32nd place. Now, the current gem score for Deadlock is standing at 78%, which is a 70% increase on the previous day, on yesterday. And we can see, oh, my green screen fell down. Just give me a sec. Just give me a sec. There you go. Okay, so we can also see that on average, this game didn't have that high of a score on average, and that makes sense. The game, although had a following, a lot of people were playing it. If they got access to it, it was mostly stuck within content creators for the longest time. And slowly but surely, more people have been getting access to these games. And the first time we saw the highest peak for this game was around August, right here, which is when the game first came out, or at least when it was first uh, publicly available. Like there were people playing the game, but they couldn't release footage of the game or anything like that. So on August is when they were able to officially release footage of the game. So they released footage of the game, and that got a lot of traction. That got a lot of attention, but it quickly died down because, well, a lot of people couldn't really play the game. It was only influencers. So as time went on, more and more people started playing the game, but it was still kind of niche, right? But that all changed in the recent 2 updates. In the 2 recent updates, they've been adding more characters, and there's just been more people getting more and more access to the game. And the game has gotten a lot of updates that have made it more interesting and more fun. And thus, we've been seeing how slowly but surely content about this game has been coming out more and more. More people are streaming this game, and more people are playing it. And so you see, in the last couple of weeks, we've been seeing this giant rise here in gem score. So overall, the attention that this game is getting and the overall engagement that it's getting online is going up and up and up. The new characters are, I definitely think that the new characters are one of the main reasons why because this peak right here is when the new batch of characters was announced, and you can vote for which character gets added every 2 days or every 3 days. And that is this peak right here. And we can see that these peaks going onwards, but overall increasing, have been the releases of every other character every 2 or every other day. So this was the initial release of the first character. Then we saw another character here. Then we saw another character here. And now we recently saw another character being released. And overall, all this is bringing a lot of attention, and people are really enjoying the game. So Deadlock has never, well, technically not never, we're almost close to reaching that original peak, but it's slowly but surely creeping up. As you can see, a 70% increase in 1 day. So if it continues seeing this exponential growth, this game could be in the top of the gaming marketplace leaderboard. And if it is, that would be the second Valve game that has kind of cemented itself in the top 10 games of the market, because the number one game, if you go into the gamingmarketplace.com, the number one game you're going to see is going to be Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike has cemented its number one place and has barely ever been contested in that spot. But overall, really great success. I really enjoy the game, and you might be seeing me play some content on this game in the future. But regardless, just overall a really fun game. But with that said, with all of this said, that concludes today's update of the gaming marketplace. Any final thoughts? Anybody want to add a little bit of flavor on your thoughts on either Deadlock or any of the news that I covered before, right before I leave? Anybody at all? Overall, it's been very interesting things. I don't want the green screen to fall again. Overall, super interesting stuff is happening. A lot of good news, but also a lot of bad news that it's happening. A lot of sketchy stuff, but overall, a lot of fun. Oh, and also, once again, if you want to see a really fun stream, I highly recommend you check my last stream on Tuesday, where I played it's a long name, where I played Space Lord Baby Investing Simulator. I think it was Space Lord Baby Investing Simulator. And that game was a lot of fun, and I became your broker, like your chat. I became your broker, and I played this character, and we played together as we went through the game. It was a lot of fun. I highly recommend you go and check that VOD over at twitch.tv/thegamingmarketplace. and you'll be able to really enjoy that kind of content. But oh, you want me to play Quarantine Zone? I'll have to check. It came out. I know it officially came out. It might be an interesting one for me to play. So we'll consider it. But with that said, if there's nothing else that anybody else wants to really highlight, really say, I will conclude this stream here, and I'm gonna go check who we're gonna raid. Let's see here, who is available for a raid. Do I have any of my friends currently streaming in the platform? Let me check. Let me check what I see. Meanwhile, you're seeing a close-up version of me. Yeah. Let me see here. Twitch. Any of my friends? Ooh, okay. I do have a friend here. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to raid Pindle, which she is currently playing Date Everything. She's currently playing Date Everything. She's a really nice friend. I really love playing with her and I love her content. So if you guys love Date Everything, then I will send you over to her. Let me just write it down. There you go. Pindle Bear. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's news segment. I hope you guys enjoyed everything we covered today. And I will catch you every Thursday, still technically there, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I will catch you and I will do this weekly recap. So until the next update, I hope you guys enjoy and show some love to Pindle while she plays Date Everything. So let's start that raid. I will see you guys in the next one. We're waiting for it. Okay, there we go. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have fun. Enjoy the content. Bloop.
Welcome here!